Okay, okay. Some of my students have been asking me to okay, today I will discuss briefly one of the most widely used theorems in mathematics, and that is Pythagorean theorem. Um, and I will give a few examples. Um, so what this theorem says is if you have a right triangle, let's call this triangle ABC, and let's say this here is side C, and this here is a 90-degree angle, and this side is A, and this side is B. So what this theorem does, it's a very powerful theorem, and it's widely used in mathematics. Very useful, comes up in lots of applications. And what this theorem says is that if this is a right triangle, where we have a 90-degree angle facing side C, then C squared has to equal A squared plus B squared. C is always the side facing the 90-degree angle. So if the angle is 90 degrees, C is the hypotenuse. Now, it doesn't matter who A and B are. You can swap them, but it does matter who C is. C has to be the hypotenuse, or the side facing the 90-degree angles. The other sides, A and B, don't matter. So if you know any of two sides in this triangle, you can calculate the third. For example, if we know that A is 4 and B is 5, we can simply say C squared equals A squared, which is 4 squared, plus B squared, which is 5 squared, and that would give us 16 plus 25. So C squared would be 41. And therefore, C would be plus or minus square root of 41. But because we are talking about the side of a triangle, the length of the side of a triangle cannot be negative. We take the positive answer. So C would be square root of 41. Likewise, sometimes you would have C instead. So let's say C is 7 and A is 2, and we are asked to find. So this was an example here, and this is another example. And let's say we are asked to find side B. So then we can turn this formula around and say B squared has to equal C squared minus A squared. C squared will be 49 minus A squared will be 4. So B will be the square root of 45, which we can write as 3 root 5. So this theorem is very powerful in the sense that it would enable you to find, anytime you know two sides in a triangle, it would enable you to find the other two sides. Now, I will be discussing in other videos later on trigonometry, how is this related to angles, and how you don't really need two sides sometimes. If you know one side and you know an angle in a right triangle, you can go on to determine the other two sides and or the other two angles. But in the meantime, I just wanted to give a very brief explanation of what Pythagorean theorem is and how you could use it. And just as a tip, this triangle could be also turned around. Now, let me take Pythagorean theorem a step further, and let's say that this triangle was not a right triangle. Can we still use Pythagorean theorem? And the answer is yes and no. No in the sense that it won't be the same equation. Yes in the sense that you do have to modify the equation and cast it in a different form. So for example, if the triangle is as such, and let's say this is side A, this is side B, and this is side C. So that got us into C squared will now instead of being A squared plus B squared, we have to sort of add an extension to this when the triangle is not a right triangle. So we have to add an extension and that extension is, we have to add the term minus 2 times A times B times cosine of the angle uh, of the side that we are taking. So in this case, it will be cosine angle C, with C being the angle facing side C, right there. Let's call this angle C right here. And so as you can see, the theorem needs to be adjusted. Now, I will post other videos to discuss this once I start, like I said, start explaining trig. But in the meantime, I just wanted to show you what happens in a non-right triangle. That does it. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. Subscription is very important. I need minimum amount of subscribers so I can take this channel. My objective is to take this channel into a completely new level where I can post much more videos with much more manpower and much more sophistication and clarity, so I can help you guys out, and we can get more stuff done in math. Thanks.